Another podcast in an undisclosed location.
Right on.
All right, I'm with Sister Princess
Hey guys. Hey, you
and
too.
and Mother Linda. All
Hey.
right, so my Sister Princess wanted to do a podcast
Mm-hmm.
regarding disrespectful black women.
It is. First of all, let's start off with it is J20th, aka Martin Luther King Day, aka Inauguration Day. Big 47, 45, 47 coming back into office. We excited. We ready to make America great again. And I wanted to talk to my black women out here.
Now, before you do that, shout out to the restaurant that gave us the tequila sunrise and the Jameson.
Right on.
All right.
You want to say the name? You want to shout them out?
No,
Because
it's
they
an
a vibe.
undisclosed location. I don't want people
It's a
to
whole
know where we
vibe.
are.
We in a good red state, though. We in a good red state. I'll just
Praise
put
God.
that out there.
Praise God. Praise God. Hallelujah.
Yes. It is Inauguration Day. We are very happy. Well, I am. I don't know about talking crazy. I don't know about talking crazy. Sister Princess is happy because I feel as though America rejected the BS that the media was pushing on them. I feel as though the Democratic Party was pushing a lot of nonsense, a lot of hate, a lot of rhetoric, and the majority of the country rejected it. And I think that the media and the Democratic Party, which I'm going to talk a lot of MAGAs. I'm MAGA. I'm still a registered Democrat, just like RFK. I said JFK, RFK Jr.
RFK Jr., yes.
and Tulsi Gabbard are still registered Democrat. I'm like them. I'm still Team Trump, and I'm MAGA more than I'm a Republican because I would never be a Bush, Cheney, either of the Bushes. I'd never ride for any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never ride for no Clinton. I know he's a Democrat. But we all are here riding for Big 47. Why? Because he's telling the truth about this U.S. government. Mm-hmm. And I think the Democratic Party, they did it. I did vote for Obama. I think Obama, although I'm a registered Democrat, I can honestly say Obama is probably the only Democrat I actually voted for because I usually do independent. And Trump is the only Republican I've ever voted for. Although I do believe MAGA is a third party. But my whole life, Mama's here. Mama will tell you. You know what Mama told me years ago? I was like 10 years old and she took me in the voting booth. And you know who we voted for? Dr. Lenora Falani. And they let me go back when we had booths and it was like voting was like grand before the hanging child. They let me go in the booth. They was like, she can't vote yet, but she gonna go and see what it's like. And in Tracy Towers, I walked in there and mom did this whole speech about Dr. Lenora Falana, a black woman, and she's independent. And I think those are the messages that always resonated with me. And mom is over here rolling her eyes. I have no idea why she's rolling her eyes, except for the fact she can't handle praise, right? And I think this whole idea of independence was ingrained in me from both my parents, who didn't like either party or respect either party. And I even look back at some of the when Dr. Lenora Falani, which by the way I found out she was a Hofstra grad like me, years later. I look back at some of her speeches when she was running for president, and she talked about a lot about how the Democratic Party abandoned Jesse Jackson. And that's why a lot of the reason why she was running independent. So let's talk about it. Okay, let's talk about it. Disrespectful black women. That's why we're here, right? And if if you don't know who Dr. Lenora Fulani is, please look her up. But she did run for president in '88, and I think she ran again. I want to say in '92 she ran again.
Probably. She probably did as an independent.
As an independent. And when we talk about black women running for office and presidency, let's not act like the story begins with Kamala Harris. Because Shirley Chisholm ran in '72. So let's not start the story there. Let's start the story with real black women.
All right.
I went a little too far.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
But
you're on my podcast. Forget everybody else. I can't use socially.
I might get edited out for saying a real black woman.
I can't use because I'm already demonetized, so I can't use socially unacceptable language anyway.
Let's talk about it. Okay.
All right.
So talk to me, Danny. Questions. Disrespectful black women. Michelle Obama.
Well, first of all, let's start off because I've been talking about disrespectful black women for years on my podcast. And if you can see, if you go back to all my archives, I've been talking about disrespectful black women. I've been talking about supporting black women. For instance, there was a black cop that lost her job, 19 years on the job as a Buffalo police officer, lost her job because he was defending a white racist cop who wanted to kill a suspect. Okay? And it took her 20 years to even get her own pension. And she got it back. She got her pension. Well, actually 10 years to get her pension. So on my channel, I mean, I call it as I see it. I talk about the stories that nobody really wants to talk about. And I do live streams. Now I just do live streams on my balcony, smoking a cigar and drinking cognac.
Right on.
All right. And I call it the balcony. I rebranded it as the Balcony Chronicles because I'm not trying to, I as a 50-year-old man, I'm not trying to do all that fire and brimstone stuff like I used to do when I did 10 years ago. I call it as I see it.
Yeah.
I see the disrespect. And I saw the disrespect for black men almost 10 years ago when I started doing podcasts. And I see it even more and more. It's more prevalent more and more today. For instance, I saw on Instagram, a black woman, and I don't know, got into it with an older black man. Okay? And talking about wanting to fight this man. A woman fighting a man. A black woman fighting a man on the subway.
Yeah.
I mean, and I said to myself, is this woman really marriage material for a young black man who wants to fight a strange man a strange man on a subway? I tell black men, look.
Well,
explore your options.
I'm
not mad at the black men that want to go ahead and get a passport and get out of here.
Okay, so let me I don't blame them. Temper that a little bit because
why would we want to deal with black women or women here? Because all of y'all are the same, really. It's just different.
Well, okay, let me distinguish because we're talking about
if
different
you're thinking
types
about dating
of
outside the race here in the United States, you're in for a rude awakening.
So let's talk about it. I understand there's like the hood rat shit right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about what's going on right now in society, where let's talk. I'm going in. We're talking about Michelle Obama, and because she's not a hood rat by any stretch of the imagination.
Listen. You got to judge the pedigree.
She's a very highly educated woman.
Highly educated black women they had to come from somewhere. So they had to come from some hood.
But
I smell a twinge of hood rat.
Let's talk about
from this woman.
Let's talk about what's going on, right?
And I don't mean to stop you, Sister Princess. Mm-hmm. This has been going on when Barack Obama was the president, and even before.
I mean,
but I'm gonna let you go ahead and get into it.
Can I get into it?
I'm gonna let you get into it, and
Can a black woman destroy Michelle Obama?
Go for it, please do.
I thought it was disrespectful to not only Barack Obama, the office of the presidency, the American citizens who voted overwhelmingly for the president. I thought it was disrespectful to not follow you. I love your language, follow protocol, and attend the inauguration as every living president and every living first lady has done since the inception. Well, I won't say the inception because we don't know what was going on back in the 70s.
Well, in the beginning of the country, when the origins of
the country. This is tradition. This is bigger than you and your feelings, which I frankly don't even understand what your feelings are against the president, 2 times elected, this time in a landslide. This is the American people that have spoken. And I think black women, I feel like I was saying to a good friend of mine, what is it about the messaging? Because I think that the corporate media went too far this election season, and the rest of the country, black, white, Asian, Latino, rejected that messaging. And it seems as though only people that are like stuck in it are black women. And I personally don't understand what it was about the messaging that we didn't get, because it was really clear to me that, and I had the conversations about education and and I'm like, not only am I the quote unquote educated black woman, but politics is kind of my thing.
Right.
So like, I know, like, I've paid attention to these people for a very long time. So I know things about these people, like the woman they were trying to push because of her skin as a progressive and whatever was very anti-black. And she was anti-black to the poorest of our own, i.e. a sick mother with a child, all the way up to the highest celebrities and icons in our culture, to Michael Jackson. You're in the mic. How are we running behind this woman just because we want to have, are we that sensitive to identity politics? P. Ray Easley says low self-esteem. Yeah. Black people need to raise their self-esteem, that it's so important that we just need to see somebody that looks like us, even if their whole political career has been nothing but anti-black. Are we that desperate to see somebody that looks like us? No. That we're going to overlook illegal immigrants coming in our country, taking resources from our community, economy that's just falling apart. We're overlooking all of that because we want somebody that looks like us. Kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of, because I got 2 black parents. She don't, so she don't really look like me. But okay, kind of, sort of, and same with a Barack Obama. I got 2 black parents, right. And I was like, as much as like I'm critical of Barack Obama's presidency, I think he was a good candidate because he took it for all this was worth. He took his little Harvard degree and he worked in the community, and I respect that. But Kamala Harris took her degree, her law degree, and went out on a tirade to prosecute us, imprison us. We talking about California fires. We got black firefighters incarcerated. Firefighters fighting those fires and were in her tenure as well, which she tried to keep beyond their sentence. Okay, that is not somebody that we should be crying, boo-hooing, and more importantly, disrespecting our husband, who is the president of the United States, Michelle Obama, over. Go.
I spoke about that on the Balcony Chronicles earlier this Saturday. I usually have a podcast every Saturday on my balcony, smoking a cigar.
Right on.
And drinking cognac or whatever libations that I have. All right. And right now I'm lit up with tequila right now, so bear with me. I don't have my cigar, but I'm gonna have one tomorrow evening. But I'm not gonna do a podcast about it. But here's the thing. I spoke about it on my podcast last Saturday that Barack Obama was looking crazy at Jimmy Carter's funeral.
Crazy.
When he turned 100 and died at 100 years old. 100-year-old, the former president. Now, you had Bill and Hillary Clinton showing up. Donald Trump and Melania was there. George W. and the First Lady was there. Those were the only 4 living presidents in the United States. All of them had their spouses except for to honor Jimmy Carter, except for Michelle Obama. And we had this discussion about that earlier today, and it was very disrespectful. It wasn't following protocol. And what's so alarming about it is that you have a lot of these black women who are celebrating what Michelle Obama did. Not enough of black women. And it just shows that there is a disdain and disrespect for black men and their accomplishments. And you have to understand why, and you have to understand why for the last 10 years that I was an advocate for black men, black men who are educated, upward mobile, single, didn't have children out of wedlock, wasn't having babies all over the place, that was responsible. I was an advocate for responsible black men who were called corny,
Are you gonna start sounding like Vivek Ramaswamy right now?
No. What I'm saying is that we were called corny because we were responsible.
Is it because we like Steve Urkel over Stefan? Stefan?
No, it's not even that. No, it's not even that. It's not even that.
Slater over Zach or whatever.
I don't
know what Vivek's.
Because whether I like it or not, Barack Obama is me. He represents me, even though he's a half-breed. He thinks he's a black man, and I accept him as a black man by de facto.
Mm-hmm.
But he represents me. I'm him. And if I'm him, why is my woman not showing up at these events at Jimmy Carter's funeral with me?
Yeah.
Why isn't he at the art? Why isn't this woman, because I can't say the B word here in front of my mother, I can't be disrespectful to women in front of my mother because she's here. She might want to chime in.
Yeah.
Why isn't she there for this man? Because it's obviously she doesn't have a respect for who he is. This is the highest man. This man was elected to the highest office in the nation. And he's still being disrespected by his woman.
Mm.
That tells me something. That tells me something about
that.
The mentality of black women and supporting this nonsense. That tells me the mentality of black women and the men that were raised by these women.
Mm.
Okay.
No, I agree. I think this year black women took an L, a big L. I think it was very disrespectful to Barack. I think Barack had a keen understanding of what, like, the office of the president, there are certain duties that go along with that, and that is whether you like your opponent or not, which clearly they made very clear that wasn't their choice. But in the office of the presidency, right, they say the transfer of power is important, and they didn't follow, or Michelle Obama didn't follow proper protocol in.
I mean,
it's a day.
Yeah, I get it. If she were to say, "Hey, Donald Trump didn't show up for the inauguration. He left. He went back to Mar-a-Lago." As soon as they told them, "Look, Mr. President, you need to leave. You need to get the F up out of here."
So wait. Was Trump at Biden's inauguration?
No, he was never there.
Okay, that's interesting.
He was never there. No.
Neither one of them went.
Neither one of them went.
That makes Obama a sell. He ain't standing on his corner. Trump did. You see how white people stick together? They want to separate the family.
Well, how do you explain George W. Bush's wife there? George W. Bush and his wife is there.
Bill and
Hillary Clinton was there. How do you explain that? We know Trump is an a-hole. Of course he is. He wasn't going to show up. Of course, I knew he wasn't going to show up for Biden's election because he knew he got robbed in the election.
He did get robbed.
He got robbed.
He got robbed.
Listen, he got robbed, but you draw your, like I tell everybody, I know why he got robbed. You draw your own conclusions on that situation. I know they had to get him up out of there. How? I don't know. But
he did get robbed.
You draw your own conclusion.
Because I feel like I went to bed. Like this election, I stayed up all night. Because I feel like in some weird way, and I didn't vote for Trump. The first two times he ran, I didn't vote for him. So it's not like an undying, I think, but I went to bed and I was like, all right, Trump won. Yeah. status
Yeah.
quo, whatever. And I don't know how I woke up. So Joe Biden, I was like, are you kidding me? And it's fine. It's fine. But that 2020 is a little fishy. And I always thought that like we all talk about the 2000 was a little fishy, but 2020 was also equally fishy, if you ask me.
I agree.
I actually do think Trump won that. And that's cool. Like, I think in a weird way, it helped because they united the country in a way that would not have happened. Because I think Joe Biden was such a terrible president. Like, that migrant crisis is like the worst thing in modern American history. Like, are you serious? You opened the borders? Like, you flipped you almost flipped like some of the most liberal cities in the country, New York, which, whatever. And I mean, my positionality, talking position, Black woman, South Bronx, all right, heavy blue state, but being in the South Bronx, we are so disenfranchised. And how much did Eric Adams say they spent on the migrant crisis? Was it $6 billion, or it was
a couple of billion?
It was a couple of billion that was spent. And meanwhile, my neighborhood that is already disenfranchised, we got further disenfranchised, right? Like South Bronx, like they in a major U.S. city, a major county, they just stopped picking up the trash.
Yeah.
For 4 years because they were gonna disenfranchise us before they disenfranchised the rest of the freaking city. And frankly, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of trash in Manhattan and Manhattan always looked like Disneyland to me. Like there's no trash in Manhattan. So I can't even say they weren't affected. I think we were more affected because where do you cut the services? In the communities where the people are poor.
Right.
So that $6 billion could have did a lot for American citizens of all races, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, in New York, and it went to illegal immigrants.
Unfortunately.
And this is not an anti-immigration speech because some of these crises are U.S. made. Like when we talk about, like I always say Venezuela, I love them. I love them as a country. I love the people of Venezuela. And they have a lot of oil there.
Mm-hmm.
And if we would just remove the sanctions that are keeping them from selling the oil, they can continue to be an independent nation. But we don't want to do that.
No, of course not.
Mm-hmm. We don't want to do that. Instead, this is a man-made crisis, this whole migrant crisis. And I think when they get all the people over here, they'll start buying their land for pennies. And they're going to get that oil. The U.S. imperialists.
Yeah, they're going to get it.
Mm-hmm. They're going to get that oil.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And every little BS benefit that they think that like Venezuelan people are getting, it's not even half as much as what that oil is worth that's in their land.
Yeah. Well, listen. Well, we delved into politics, which is never really happens here on the Talking Crazy 88
What are we talking?
podcast.
Let's talk it. Or we have to talk
But
male
no,
female
this is
relationships.
good. No, this is good. No, because we talk about everything.
Gender
on
dynamics.
Here. We talk about everything here. So whatever you got to say, go ahead and say it.
Okay.
You got free range here. This is your podcast now.
Respectfully, I'm political family.
Because I'm full of tequila right now.
Me too. I'm full of Jameson.
Yeah.
But I do think, but that's interesting. I think that, okay, what is one of Michelle Obama's biggest quotes? Because I was like, I'm hearing you, and I'm hearing that President Trump did not intend the inauguration.
Right.
For Joe Biden.
No, of course not. Which I don't expect him. We wouldn't expect him to show up.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I want to show her a little sympathy, other than the fact that her husband went. So I guess she gets less because her husband went, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
So,
right.
And I mean, I don't know. I think this was such a landslide that I don't know if this was a time to make a statement, because America really did speak. Everybody spoke.
Yeah.
Everybody. The Amish came out. The Amish don't vote. The Amish came out and vote. So I don't know. And the other part of this whole thing that I'm having a hard time believing is that do they really believe what they're saying? Like, do they really,
right.
Like a lot of these people that are trashing Trump were his friends. So I'm like, do you really believe he's a Nazi?
Oh.
I don't know, because that was the rhetoric that was getting pushed, right? And I said the N-word. Now, sorry, Danny, I'm demonetized.
Listen, no. I'm already demonetized. Go
okay.
for it. I just don't. I'm gonna do a podcast I'm gonna do a live stream on that on my balcony this weekend about the N-word.
Nazi?
How we.
Nazi? No, that's the new N-word, right? The new N-word.
The other N-word.
The other N-word.
Well, we're in 25 years in the 21st century, and we still have the 20th century mindset of using the N-word.
You know what's crazy? Do you get demonetized for saying the other N-word? No, you don't.
No, you don't, and there's a reason why. But I'll get into it on my live stream on Saturday.
Okay. Like, that's disturbing to me, because as a community, we've established that is a word we don't appreciate. And yet, that word is never, you're not getting demonetized for that, but you're getting demonetized for the other N-word.
You're going to get demonetized for using we'll just say certain groups. If you use a racial slur towards them, it's a slam dunk that your career is over. All right? Whatever career that you're in, banking, finance, media, TV media, movie media, anything. If you upset a certain group of people, that's your ass, Mr. Postman. You are going to lose. You are going to lose. You're going to lose big time.
Hey.
So I would say this, and I'm gonna do a little preview on my podcast, and this has been going on for years. certain groups of people are protected. Certain groups of people, such as ourselves, black folks, we are not protected. And I don't give a damn if you're a man or a woman. You're not protected. Because there is a little bit of slick stuff that goes on that are allowed. That is allowed by black men and women, which normally would not be allowed by any other group. And I'm talking about the racial slurs. We keep using that word. Notice that no other group, they're not calling each other spit. Nope. They're not calling each other a kike or a he. They're not calling you a mick. They're not calling each other mix. Or or gook or chink. They're not doing that. But we're the only ones that allow two, maybe multiple racial slurs, because out of the 21st century, coon just came out of nowhere. All right? The word coon, the racial slur coon just came out of nowhere.
I got you.
All right? And this is in the 21st century.
Right.
I never heard that in the 80s and the 90s and in the 90s. I never heard nobody call a black man calling another black man a coon. I never heard it. Worse, we would just call him a sellout or Oreo.
Right.
But never that word coon came out of my mouth.
Right. I respect that.
All right? I've always heard nigga this, nigga that, this motherfucker, this my nigga, this nigga. Using it all casually. All right? I'm not a big fan of that word. Let me just say this. My boy, Jay Bass. Oh, well, I shouldn't even put his name out there, but JB. He's close to my age, but he hates that word. He hates the word nigga being used by black folks. Okay? He hates it. There's a lot, and he's not alone. There's a lot of black folks that are uncomfortable with anybody else using anybody that's black using that term.
Yeah, I don't love that. I'm not supporter of the N-word, period. Like,
well, first of all, we're 25 years into the 21st century. We're out of the 20th century of thinking. We're out of the slave mentality. We're out of that bullshit. We should be moving along and moving away from that word over time. But it seems like it's going to be like 200, maybe 300 years.
I mean, I do feel like we shift the meaning of it, but I still don't love the word. Even though I do think we did shift. Like, it's no longer slur, right? Like anything, anybody can be an N, right? And in a weird way, it's kind of cool. It's cool.
Well, listen,
it's cool to have something that only we can say, right?
Well, listen, I say this, man. And I'm talking about standards, and I'm talking about black. In the last few live streams, I talked about black men having standards. Standards. And I'm not talking about just low standards. I'm talking about high standards. You should want to have high standards about who you are, where you are, who you are in this life. Okay? High standards. That means not cussing, not using the word nigga almost every 3 words out of your mouth is not you being used as my nigga. Nigga this, nigga that. That's not a good look. That's certainly not a good look. If you run around in your vocabulary, I'll tell you this story. I was working at a company up in North White Plains. I'm not going to disclose the name of the company here on this podcast because I don't want none of y'all MFers knowing where I used to work or where I live right now. I don't want, no. But I'll tell you this. I was working for a company where there was a guy that was working in the warehouse department, right?
Mhm.
Of course, and I can tell through our conversations together, he was a dumbass. So I'm gonna let it pass. And he's a dumbass because he's always using the word nigger all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now there was a strike in 2004 for the Westchester Bus Company, the B line. Their employees had a
The
strike
Beeline.
for almost 3 months. Now we had to use. The company said, "Look, just go ahead and use the Metro North. Try to get into work, and we're not going to penalize you, man. I'm cool with you." So, first day after the snowstorm, what happened was we was waiting for my shuttle bus, right? And this dumb mother effer was running around using the N-word in front of white folks.
Oh no.
And they filed a complaint against this brother. That woman filed a complaint against she was so offended
Who knew?
and filed a complaint against him. Now, I knew he
Don't
was
be using
using
the
that
N-word.
word. I'm standing right next to him while he's using it. And I'm saying, and I wanted to pull him aside and say, "Hey man, language like that is not appropriate here in the office. Even in the office, where you work, in the office, on the grounds, if you're still on the grounds and you using words like this, they gonna fire you, my brother."
Period.
Watch your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Know where you are. You're on your job, man. And this is what I'm talking about. I can't really talk to black men and women because they don't really have the maturity to do so. This is the reason why white folks back in the slave days used to call men and women boy and gal.
Ooh, no, Danny, no.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna reject that.
And I'm starting to see that.
I rebuke that.
Hold on. I'm starting to see that with the lower class of black folks. It's not black folks like me and you, or somebody that's upwardly mobile, who recognize where they are and recognize that they have a reputation that they want to maintain. And I talked about it on my live stream about black men. You need to improve your reputation. Your reputation is who you are in this life, in this country, or any other country. Now I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you this. Look, I'll give you an example. We were at a tavern which was a favorite of ours. And so much I got a good reputation with the owner. He knows me by name, first name. Some of the employees know me by first name. When I walk in, even when I come down here on vacation, they know who I am.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not low class. I don't do that. I conduct myself like a man.
Yes.
Even though I'm a black man, I conduct myself like a man.
Yes.
Okay? I conduct myself like I'm not low class.
Yes.
I have some dignity about myself.
Yes.
Which I have to say, and I'm not gonna pick on just black folks.
No.
Most people in this country have no dignity about themselves.
Right.
But it's prevalent in the black community. They have no dignity or self-awareness, because not only because they have no self-awareness, because people are watching us. They're picking on us. They're not picking on Mr. Fong over here. They're not picking on Mr.
They're picking on look.
They're not picking on the Japanese guys right there, right around. They're not picking on the Jews in the Diamond District.
Look, Dr. Claude Anderson said we are a permanent underclass. But let's talk about it. Let's go back to current events. Big 47. What did you think about the inauguration speech? Because I was feeling it.
I mean, I didn't see the speech. I have it on. I'm gonna check it out on YouTube. What this guy said.
It was good.
But
I mean, I appreciated, like he shouted us out directly, African Americans. Because even though I'm dissing my black women because I don't understand y'all. I love y'all, but I don't understand y'all. 95% really? Are we really doing that? But overall, even with that extremely high number, Trump made a dent. He made a dent with his America First platform, right? Like, put all the emotion aside. If you are an American U.S. citizen of any race,
right?
Okay, like I think we need to acknowledge. You know what I watched recently? I was talking to somebody, and I watched Michael Moore's first movie, Roger and Me, and the auto industry, like he shouted out our auto workers, like directly. Like this is really what people are responding to. People aren't responding to racism or whatever.
No.
Like that's what the corporate media wants us to think. Oh, racist. But the reality is that there was a time when we say "Make America Great Again," right?
Yeah.
There was a time, and it is not slavery. There was a time when we made things, right? Like a lot of the labor and class things came from American ingenuity, right? Like Henry Ford, who was a racist.
Right.
But first of all, let's put it this way. Racism isn't even about hate. Racism is about, I think Dr. Claude Anderson said that too. It's a race. There's a reason why it's a literal race. You be at the top of the race, and that's it, right? Like we want to run to win, right? And people of European descent really are good at manipulation and things like that, right?
Right.
So when we talk about that, but like it's in a weird way, like race, like these corporations have made it so when we look at each other, like the new race might just not be about skin and color.
Right.
The new race might be about ethnicity, like a new ethnic, specifically in the United States, right? Like we got a lot in common with the freaking hillbilly now, right? Like,
hell yeah,
and
on a first name basis.
Period. Like, so when we talk about because these corporations have manipulated it so much, where Black and white Americans had a labor movement. We created a minimum wage. Go back to Henry Ford, who said, I'm making Fords, right? And I want my people to, workers who are working to build the Ford, created the 5-day work week. That's American.
Yes.
Creating the 5-day work week, because I need my people who work for me to be able to have time to to drive the Ford that they want, right?
That's right.
Right? Like that's where, that's American. Like labor movement is American. And when they say we're lazy, black, white, all Americans, they call us lazy, and they say, oh, we have to have migrant workers, or we have to send the corporation overseas, because it's really because these American workers of all races banded together, created a movement
And brought them down there.
and a minimum wage, and we will do any job, Black and white Americans and Asian and Latino, we will do any freaking job you put before us,
All right,
because we did it. But the only requirement we have is that you are going to give us a minimum wage, you're going to give us health benefits, you're going to give us workers' comp if we get hurt.
Right.
And our brothers and sisters that are illegal immigrants don't make that requirement,
That's right.
because they don't have the capacity to. Where I can say, because of my U.S. citizen, you don't pay me minimum wage, I'm not picking those damn oranges. I'm not farming that land. I'm not going in that.
land.
I'm not going into that coal mine or that
Coal mine, tenant.
yeah, whatever. I'm
Whatever.
not doing that
I can't
because
do that because of my back.
because of my back.
Ah.
And that is what I love about my American people of all races, is that we fought for these things, but the corporations are trying to undermine us. And they're creating a quote unquote humanitarian effort, a humanitarian crisis that they created.
Right.
And it's all bullshit.
Of course.
Because if you leave people alone in their countries, they'll do their thing on their own, and history will show you that. But they want to impose their sanctions on people. They want to impose their genocide, all of that shit on people, and then it's a humanitarian crisis. They have to come here. Fuck that shit. But then they get here and you're gonna exploit them. Nah, kiss my ass. I'm not supporting that shit.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't. Unbelievable.
Sorry, Nanny. Talking crazy.
Oh man, no. Well,
I think Black women are so. What disturbs me about Black. I'm talking about my people now. I'm one of them. Is that we're so sensitive, and it's the reason why we're sensitive. And I'm a social worker that I'm trying to social worker that I am. I'm going to respect that we've been, as a community of Black women, so devalued that we just really need to boost our self-esteem. We need imagery. We need all of that. We need all of the accolade. We need, Kamala would have uplifted a lot of people emotionally. But I was against it because I don't think we needed that.
I don't think we're ready for it.
I don't think we're ready. Because, Obama, I don't know, Sabby Sabs. Do you listen to Sabby Sabs?
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
She's great.
She's
actually an independent person. She's a Jill Stein gal. But I was watching her, and that's when I realized how dangerous a sellout can be. Sorry.
A sellout, yeah.
Because she was although I honestly do think Obama was a great candidate. I have a lot of criticism of him as a president, but she said something, she reminded us of something Obama did, which was, she said, he went to Flint.
Oh boy.
And pretended to drink dirty water. And I was like, And then they pulled the video of
Oh,
him
my
doing
goodness.
that shit.
They pulled the video of him?
Talking about the water is great here. The water is fine. And drinking a glass of water that you know was not poured from Flint. And that's when it occurred to me that a sellout can do stuff even a white man can't do. Because if George Bush would have did that shit, we'd have been like, fuck you, I'm not drinking that damn water, right? But they all, like, no one wanted to go against the first black president. And I'm going to end here because I think it's getting late. Black people, a certain class of black people, which I'm surrounded by. I'm not in that class, but I'm surrounded by all these, like, education. I mean, I am educated, but that's about it. I don't got no money. I work as a social worker. But, like, I'm educated. I have a family. Like, Obama made them feel good. And I realized that's what they want again. And with that, I'm going to end the podcast because
No, I'm listening.
that's what this community needs. They felt good being able to say, I feel good about myself. It's a black president. And I'm get to, and you know, what's his name? Kind of let the cat out of the bag. What's the Q dog? Ricky Smiley.
Oh, Ricky Smiley.
Let's see Ketanji Brown swearing I want to see a member of Delta Sigma Theta swearing a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. It'll be on Martin Luther King Day, and it means so much to me. Fuck that. And I'm going to end this podcast with that because I don't think we're, as a black community, sophisticated enough to do politics. And maybe we need to work on finance because we can't do that because we're too easily manipulated by identity politics. And no one else is. Notice no Indian people are crashing out for Kamala, only black. And she's equally Indian than black. And she might be more Indian than black because on her mother's side, she's 100% Indian. And her Jamaican father, got a little Indian in him too, probably half Indian. So she's probably more Indian than black. But black women are, ugh! And the Indian people are like, we voted for Trump. And with that, family, I'm going to end this freaking podcast.
Well,
Go.
Before you end the podcast, I got something to say. That was listen, you brought up a lot of great points that I can't really challenge you on it. And I'm not going to challenge you. I'm just going to let you, this is free range. This is the free range Talking Crazy 88 podcast. I'm going to let my baby sister go ahead and say what's on her mind.
I got to let loose. I'm sorry, y'all.
We got to let them go.
I'm going to tell you, I can tell when I say something unpopular because that's when
we're not going to look at that.
That's when the attendees drop to zero.
Listen, we're not gonna judge that because ain't nobody listening to this shit. But
we had a couple of listeners pop in.
Don't worry about it.
So you gotta pop out.
My loyal podcast listeners from back in the day, 12,000 to 2011. Those were the one that hit the thumbs up. Thumbs up. I know because I talked to them. But it's all good. Look, I didn't do this podcast or any other podcast to just get 500 likes or 500 engagements every time I throw on the live. No, I didn't do that for that. My sole purpose is to make sure that black men are winning in life.
And the thing
Winning in
is,
life.
and that's why,
And it doesn't take a woman to help you win in life.
let me tell y'all
They're a
something.
byproduct.
Let me tell y'all something about winning. And that's why I'm a Trumper. Because I don't know if Trump can do this. I don't know. He probably can't pull this off. I'm going to tell you right now. But at least he is acknowledging that what makes a black man feel confident and masculine is having employment and being able to sustain himself and to take care of his family. And you shouldn't need
which is not learned
a
by the
PhD for that, right? Like you
Right.
should be able, like you have skills and talents that don't always mean having a higher education or you know. And honestly, even the PhDs are struggling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what is going on where the PhDs are struggling?
That's another good question I got to marinate on. And get a little
Like
information.
me and your like me and my brother, we both have master's degrees. What? Why are we, and not that we're struggling hard, because we have multiple properties, but like why is life so difficult for us? Like we should be breezing through this shit, right?
Right.
But we can't get where our parents were and our grandparents were, where like with minimal education, they were able to like get like jobs that sustain themselves and their family. And I think that is what Trump is speaking to when he says we're bringing manufacturing back. Like that. Why? And oh yeah, okay, cool, China, you cool, China, as he would say. You're gonna pay some tariffs to sell something because we don't want China to have the monopoly and be able to sell goods to Americans and an American company, because an American company has to pay a minimum wage. Your goods from China are going to be just as expensive. And I think we will lose in the short term, right? Because we all like cheap shit. But the reality is, if our neighbor has a job, would we pay a little bit more? Could we pay a little more, right? So that all of our neighbors can have a job. And with that, let's close this podcast. Well, we can resume tomorrow. We're gonna have a brunch. We're gonna have a brunch tomorrow. We're gonna get up. We're gonna clean. We're gonna I got a champagne and orange juice in the fridge, and we'll resume tomorrow. We'll talk American ingenuity tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about American ingenuity, but we're also gonna talk about crazy stuff that I've observed throughout my years of podcasting here on the Talking Crazy 88 network. We're gonna talk. Look, I'm all tequilaed out. Don't mind me.
We sleeping now. Danny is snoring.
I ain't snoring on my
podcast.
No, I ain't snoring on my podcast. Come on, I'm letting you cook.
I have to cook. I'm gonna cook. Shout out. It's January 20th. Big 47,
I'm letting you
45, 47 is
I'm
back.
letting you do something that nobody ever done on my podcast. I'm gonna let you go free reign. Okay?
Yo, 45,
What do you think?
47. If you're not rolling with 47, like 47 at least gives you the lips. I don't know if he can accomplish that he's talking about. He might not. No. But at least he's acknowledging that we exist, right? Like he's acknowledging that middle class exists. Like, come on, big 47. Like, we need jobs, we need homes. And honestly, when he was here, the interest rates was mad low. We was living good. People, we was investing in the stock. Some people invested in the stock market for the first time, never bought a stock in their life, and they all had Robinhood accounts.
And
Okay.
I hope they didn't buy shares in the OTC,
Oh, I don't even know what else. Oh, over the counter.
over the counter.
But like people, black, white, Asian, Latino, everybody was buying stock under Big 47. Let's bring that back. Let's make some money. Put at this and let's have jobs for our American citizens of all races.
Right.
So that we can do this. Like we can, but I don't know if Trump is gonna make it happen for us.
Well,
But what I will I
it.
do appreciate that he at least having the conversation, because the rest of these motherfuckers,
That's what I'm saying.
let's talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow about how the Dems thought abortion was the.
All right.
Oh
Fellas,
yeah, click that off.
Fellas,
I think
I
that's
gotta
one of those.
close out. I'm gonna close y'all out.
Close it out, because
Listen,
I think that was
guys,
the conversation we had to talk about.
This is Talking Crazy 88, closing out, and I hope everybody's well. And let's be careful out there, black men, because I gotta go. I'm gonna have my regular scheduled Balcony Chronicles podcast on my show on Saturday, and we're gonna talk about what went on. If I'm not able to do a podcast tomorrow, we're gonna talk about what's going on in the news between black men and black women, because there is a serious divide that's going on, and I'm very concerned about it, because I predicted this 10 years ago. Shahrazad Ali, Tommy Sotomayor.
We're gonna talk tomorrow too. We'll talk tomorrow. The Brunch Chronicle tomorrow.
We're gonna talk, where they actually said that black women do not respect black men.
Yeah,
but we're gonna talk more about that tomorrow. But I'm just gonna let my baby sister cook on my channel
tomorrow.
Because I'm allowed to do that, and I don't give a you know what if you don't like it. This is my baby sister. We're gonna talk about it. She's gonna say whatever it is on my mind, and she's gonna say whatever it is on her mind tomorrow. But I'm gonna let it go. We're gonna talk further more about this later on. This is Talking Crazy 88 signing off, and I am out of here. And black folks, let's be careful out there, all right?
So then you demonetize anyway.
I ain't making no.